What's up? I got a late messenger minutes for you guys again today, so let's get into it. So today I have a little bit of a different type of message. So one thing that I like to make sure that I do in my music and on my social media is be honest that things aren't always perfect. Because I think when we look at social media, we look at TV, and it seems like everyone's life is so perfect because we're only seeing pretty much the highlight reel of everyone's life. We're not seeing the parts of their life when they're hurting. We're not seeing their parts of their life when things aren't going well because partially, it's personal to people. They don't always want to share that. And partially because I think a lot of the time in our society we're expected to just kind of keep that under wraps. And when people ask you how you are, they don't really want to know. Because if everyone told everyone else all the time how they felt, I think our friendship would be tested to a degree that some people aren't really ready for. But I think it can be really helpful to be vulnerable. It can be really helpful to be honest about our doubts and about our fears and about things that are hurting us because it allows other people the chance to open up and be like, hey, I feel this too. And when they hear somebody else saying, hey, I'm having a hard time, I'm struggling with this, I'm falling over and over again, I'm stumbling over this particular thing, then they don't feel as alone. And they feel like, oh, well then I can speak out, I can be honest. And all of a sudden you have a community of people who are coming together because they feel like they don't have to hide anymore. And then we can come together and we can build a stronger foundation and we can get better. So I'm going to be honest with you guys about some doubts that I've been having recently. So something that has always been kind of a big stumbling block in my faith is not understanding why God allows bad things to happen. If he's a sovereign God, if he's a God who loves us, if he's a good God, then why allow these bad things happen? I'd be willing to bet that that's the reason a lot of people step away from faith or decide that they don't believe that God exists or that they don't like God, is because there are so many things that happen in our lives where it feels like God could have done something and he didn't. And so we end up in this place of just anger towards God, and that is a place where I've been for a long time. And I'm not going to say I'm out of it, because I'm not. I'm still in that place. I'm still trying to understand what it means to truly love God. I'm still trying to understand what my place really is as a Christian. Is there ever going to be explanation? Is there ever going to be a breakthrough where I'm like, oh, now this makes sense why God allows these things to happen? So far, that hasn't happened. And I've been on this journey for years. I've been on this, I say that like it's been like forever. It's been like probably since maybe junior year of college that I've been on this journey of trying to figure it out. And no one, even the smartest people that I know, is able to give me an answer that satisfies me. Because a lot of people will give you the answer, well, you just need to trust that God has a plan. And you go through a certain amount of stuff, you hear it enough, you're a Christian for long enough, and that answer just ceases to satisfy you anymore because you're still in that hurt, you're still in that pain. And your question is, what do you do? What do you do when you're in that low spot where you're just like, God, I don't think I can move forward with you until I get this question answered, because how can I go forward and how can I serve a God who I feel like doesn't really care at the end of the day what happens to me? Because the reality that I've come to deal with is, okay, I trust God. I trust that God has a plan, but I also trust that that plan doesn't really involve my physical or even emotional safety all the time. And that is something that I find hard to accept. It's hard for me to even really talk about this because I think some people are going to take it the wrong way. But these are some honest thoughts and feelings that I've had. So I was honest in an interview a while back in college, and I said that probably the most painful thing that I deal with in my life is doubts in my faith. That honestly, my faith probably causes me some of the most pain in my life. And I was asked the question, so then why do you keep it? And that's probably what some of you are wondering right now. If you're having these doubts about God's goodness, if you don't believe that God even cares about you, then why you keep your faith? And my reason is because I don't completely understand what God has in store. I don't get it all the time, and honestly, most of the time, my prayers are just arguing back and forth with God and being like, why are you letting this happen to me? I don't know how I'm supposed to move forward with what's going on. And the reason that I keep my faith is because I feel like I've seen evil. Like, I look around at this world. I watched a movie a while back. Some of y'all are going to be like, you're such a baby. But I watched The Conjuring. And literally after that movie, like 3 days after that movie, I was still thinking about it. And I was just like shook. Like, not just even like jokingly shook. I was upset that I'd seen that movie and that I watched the things that happened in there. And some of y'all are just like, shh, come on. But that's the reason I don't like demonic horror movies. Because I just watched it, and it just like, something inside of me was just like, this isn't right. Like, this isn't entertainment to me. This is terrifying. And it's entertaining to people because they don't realize that this is real. I think a lot of people, they watch horror movies and they distance themselves from the fact, or they just straight up don't believe that there are demonic presences and there are things that are fighting against us and want to drag us to a place that is so dark and so awful. And just watching that movie, I was like, there is a darkness that I don't want any part of. And if there is a God who can save me from that, if there's a God who can keep me from whatever I just saw on that screen, then I want to follow that God. I look around at the world and what's going on, and I know there has to be more than this. There has to be. Like, this can't be all there is. And if God truly loves me, if there's truly even a hope that there is a God who can save us, that there's a God who is going to bring us to a place where we don't have to experience the things that are happening on this earth that are so evil and hurting so many of us, then I'm going to hold on to that hope. And I don't always understand it, and a lot of the time I am angry at God, and I'm like, why won't you answer me? I think the reason that I end up in that place so often is because in the darkest times, when I literally was on my knees, I was crying, and I said, God, I would give up anything, just to hear your voice, just to hear you tell me which way I need to go. And even in those times, God was silent, and I don't understand why. But then I see things in the world that are evil, and it reminds me that there's something more out there, and I think God has that. I don't know the details of that. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a professional Christian, believe me. I mess up all the time. But if there's a hope, if there's even a small glimmer of hope that there's more than what is shown around us in the world, then I'm going to take that hope and I'm going to chase after that hope. And I would encourage you guys that even when it seems like God isn't listening, like he doesn't get it, like why is he allowing these things to happen, to just remind ourselves that we don't have it all together. That even when we think I could do this better, we just need to look at our lives and be like, oh, like I'm messing this up. Like other people are messing this up. If we really ran the world, if we ran the universe, none of us would make it. And honestly, that's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me trying to chase after God. Is like, there is more. There's something better, and I need to find out what that is. I'm not there yet, but I am chasing after it. And I want you guys to join me on that journey. I'm not rapping and I'm not doing these videos because I'm perfect. I'm doing them because I want to build a community of people around myself, and I want to help other people who are dealing with these doubts, who are dealing with brokenness, who are dealing with addictions and sin, because we need to. Like, these struggles aren't just going to go away overnight. These difficulties aren't just going to disappear, so we need to be there for each other. So I open up and I'm honest with people because I want people to open up and be honest with me, because then a lot of people just feel like they're way less alone in the world. So that is my Messenger Minutes video for today. I finally did one in one take, so there's that. There are a few awkward pauses, but hey, that's me. So thanks for watching if you did watch. See y'all next week.